That is the perfect use of straddle.
Yes.
That and others, but we're back to you straddling. Should we go back from the top?
I just like back to me straddling.
Hello. I'm Dana. This is Words That Move Me. I'm stoked you're here because today we are talking to a dear friend and a phenomenal talent. Holy actual wow. Randi Freitas is a B-girl ranked 5th in the U.S. Olympic ranking. She is the founder and creator of Omega Flow Floorwork. She is a working dancer in the commercial dance industry, as well as a force to be reckoned with in any cipher. Thrilled to get to this conversation, but first, let's do some wins. Today, I am celebrating wrapping work on a project. I've been in kind of a long-term projects mode, a longer work phase and fewer deliverable days, and I'm celebrating being done with deliverables on one of my projects, and I'm thrilled about it. It went very well, learned a lot, met new friends, had a good collaborative flow, and yeah, I think that's what I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating shipping and being done. With a nice firm handshake. A handshake? That's not a handshake. We're moving on to your wins. What is going well in your world? What have you delivered? What have you completed? What is going well in your world? Hit me. All right, my friend, congratulations. I'm so glad that you're winning. I'm glad to be cheering you on from the sidelines, I guess that's where I'm positioned, currently in front of you, but on the sidelines of the game of art and your life. We got to just keep it moving. This conversation is too good to wait any longer. Randi and I are digging into ideas of gender in dance. We talk about womanness. We talk about flow, all kinds. We talk about breaking in the Olympics. We talk about the Hip Hop Nutcracker. We talk about a whole lot of other things, some important and some just straight up funny. Enjoy this conversation with the one and only Randi Freitas. Randi Freitas, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
Are we rolling there? Yes. Okay, I do see a red light, turns out. You've been warmly welcomed by my lap warmer wrist roll.
Which is the greatest part of today, I think,
It's
is going to be
a very good part of today.
the pup.
And it's only going to get better because
Yes.
we're going to talk about dance.
Excellent.
We're going to talk about being women.
Yes.
We've already talked about menstruation, our
Yes.
cycles
Yes.
upon your arrival.
Yes,
so thank
we
you for
definitely
that.
need that part recorded,
That
though.
was rich. Well, it is kind of funny. I've said before, and it's important that we just dig into this now. The onset language for I have to pee is 10-1. You just say it, you announce like 10-1, and if you have to poo, it's 10-2. But there is no 10, I need to change my tampon before I bleed through my pants.
Which
right?
feels like it should be like 10-1000 because it's important and urgent and
Yeah.
you don't want me ruining your costume.
And yet, oh, definitely not. The wardrobe. I was imagining this as a choreographer on set, just thinking like about, I only brought one pair of pants with me, which is something that I just should be better at. But why, like, women have to think about that.
Isn't that crazy
Women
that we
have
have
to
to
think
travel
about-
the world with 2 pairs of pants?
Yeah, just in case. Thank you so much for being here. I'm thrilled. Okay, tradition on the podcast. She's gonna she'll find the spot. She'll
Yes,
get cozy in
it's
just a
cool.
second. Tradition on the podcast. All my guests introduce themselves.
Okay.
Which can be daunting. Some people love it, but tell us everything you want us to know about you.
My name is Randi Freitas, aka Rascal Randi. I am a B-girl and freestyler as well as a industry choreo dancer. I grew up in the Bay Area. I moved to LA 10 years ago with no idea of anything about dance
Surely that's
in
an
the commercial
exaggeration.
world.
Okay, yeah, the commercial dance world.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
I am the founder of Omega Flow Floorwork training program, training community, and I teach at Movement Lifestyle. And I feel like I'm generally known as the person that finds her way to the floor
Yes.
when dancing.
Yes, I would co-sign on that. Question mark about Bay Area and you moving down here. When did you find dance there? You obviously were.
So I didn't find dance in the form of the way we think training. I found dance in the Bay Area through house parties and making up dances with friends for talent shows and dancing before basketball games or for pep rallies or those kind of things. So it was very like hyphy centric, just party movement.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I went to college in Colorado at CU Boulder that I found breaking, because I went to a concert. I went to the Roots, and in the corner there was a bunch of b-boys, and I literally spent the whole night. I don't even remember seeing the Roots on stage. I like spent the whole night like just blown away, because we had breakers in high school, but it was like somebody kind of knew a windmill and like some stuff, you know what I mean? Like, and this was like just on a level I'd never seen. And so one of them saw me standing there staring at them and was like, hey, we practice at this rec center if you ever want to come. And it took me a little bit to like get up the courage, but I finally just like showed up to the rec center.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And how long after that would you say you made your way to LA?
Like 3 years after that.
And was it pretty intense training from that point on? Like once you made your way there?
Once I made my way there, I was in. And then we were doing street shows, and somebody came up to me because they saw me teaching little kids at the street shows. And they needed a like,
they were like,
baby
man, this
breaker.
is a money-making opportunity here.
They were like, we need like a breaker teacher for little ones. And because I taught there, I got to take free classes. So that's what also kind of helped introduce me to the choreo world. And like, I was
because you had to
awful
choreograph
at it.
in order to be teaching combos to tinies.
Yes, yeah. And then also just I started taking choreo classes
I
like
see.
outside of my known range of movement. So
Nice.
like I was of the era where like every breaking crew had a popper/locker on it.
Yes.
And so Caleb was his name. And so I learned like some popping and locking and party dancing from him. But as far as like the choreo world, I was very unfamiliar with it until I started teaching at the studio. And I was just so hungry for dance that I really didn't mind looking stupid.
Nice. Ooh, that's a
And I
great way
still
to
feel
enter.
like that's like my superpower through dance has been like, I'm okay to be a beginner.
Nice.
So yeah, so I just kept like throwing myself in like really uncomfortable situations.
Do you think beginners have more fun?
Yeah.
Nice.
And I think I'm trying to remind myself that today, like I love watching little kids dance. I love watching non-dancers dance when they're really like in it. I just love like the reminder that like that freedom and that like I don't care what I look like, I'm having such a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I try to hold onto.
Yes. I think that translates when I watch you dance. There's an abandon and a willingness that I don't find in everyone. It's a special, unique to you thing. So tight.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
And you made your way here, or you decided to come here. How? What was the moment?
So
I don't know why I'm
didn't-
fascinated with this question, by the way. I ask everybody this.
Yeah.
Like, what was the moment?
what
I didn't
makes
have
you
the
come?
moment. I had a person. I had a few very influential people. But what was it for you?
Mine was also a little bit of a person or a couple people that wanted to move to LA. I knew I didn't want to stay in Colorado. I knew that was like a momentary thing.
Same.
Yeah.
No offense. Love you, 303. Mile High is a great city. Actually, going back now as an adult, I kind of like, man, I really like this. It's a cool place.
Yeah.
I left quite young.
Yeah.
Back to you.
I feel similar. I like going back and there's some really great studios out there now and everything, but I just missed the feel of California.
Yeah.
And so I couldn't afford to go back to the Bay, and there wasn't really opportunities there. And so it was between
Different,
New York
yeah.
and LA, just of like, it wasn't to work. It was to be surrounded with more dance. And so a couple friends of mine were moving for work, and I was like, I'm going to tag along. I'd also just broken up with my first girlfriend ever. I was like going through this whole like,
That'll help.
I'm gay, and like I dated someone in the dance scene, and it's really messy now. And so
Let's move.
Yeah, so let's get out of here. But I didn't sign when I got here. I didn't do any of that. I just like came and like was like, because we had been coming to freestyle sessions. We had been coming to take.
Which is coming up, by the way. I don't know when this episode comes out, but November, right?
Yeah, 11th and 12th, in case it comes out. And Great 1-8ers is the weekend after.
In Europe.
In Oakland.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, for those of you not watching on YouTube, I'm pointing at myself when I say in Europe
yes.
because I won't be there. And Randy, you'll be in Oakland?
Yeah.
Dang. Okay, but back up north. Fun family or what?
For the show that I'm currently working on.
That's
the
right.
Hip Hop Nutcracker.
Hip Hop Nutcracker. I want to talk about
just to see it off, but yeah.
Amazing. Did you finish introducing yourself? I can't remember. That was a very natural progression.
I think we just got to like, I came out here, took a lot of classes, went to like Beat Freaks training and stuff because I was obsessed with them.
Yes.
And then it was actually the Beat Freaks that, and Allison Falk specifically, that got me signed and like pointed me in the right direction.
Very
like
cool.
let me know that this was something I could
Viable,
make a career
something you can
out
do.
of. Yeah.
And holy shit, she was right. I think you are one of the best examples, I will say, of people straddling these two worlds. Back to flow and back to straddling. We'll talk about that later. Sometimes my word choice.
I really love it.
I do too. I'm sticking to it. I took class last night.
Yeah.
Marty and Tobias taught together. And there's one lyric, you have a freestyle opportunity on the word star. And somebody dropped into a center split and reached forward. Yes. It said, baby, I'm a star. And I was like, oh, that is how you straddle.
good.
That is the perfect use of straddle.
Yes.
That and others, but we're back to you straddling. Should we go back from the top, everyone?
I just like back to me straddling.
Are we mature enough to have a conversation about careers? Yes, we are. Commercial world versus street/social/battle worlds, which are actually all very different. Would you say you find yourself balanced in all of those places, or
yes, if we think of balance as kind of an ever negotiating
yes, we do.
thing.
Yes, we do. Micro adjustments.
Yes,
always.
exactly. So I wouldn't say I'm like 100% of the time 50-50. Right? There's times where it's asked of me to be more one side or the other, or my focus is more one side or the other, but I never leave that other space, and it's just like a negotiating the amount of hours I have in a day. To how I can spend that.
Yeah.
But it does feel like 2 to 3 full-time jobs.
For sure.
Yeah. When you say straddle, and I think about the way I'm straddling, I think of that like Jean-Claude Van Damme, like full straddle.
The semi-trucks.
Yes, I am on 2 like semi-trucks hurtling
straddling
down
in motion, like 70 miles an hour.
Yes.
In a center
with
split.
my inner thighs on fire.
On fire, fully engaged. Or else death.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Certain death.
Yes.
Incredible. I love talking about balance with dancers because I think we're really good at finding it in life. I mean, like work-life balance, other kinds of balance. What else is there? Relationship balance. Sure, everything's relationships.
Yeah.
I actually am very focused on relationships at the current. And I think that because dancers know how to find our leg or find our head or elbow or arm or whatever, by overcorrecting and then trying again and overcorrecting the wrong way and then micro adjusting your way in, that really is how it is in life.
Yeah.
And as soon as you find it, somebody will be like, oh, and now you need to wear heels.
Yes.
And now the stage is raked.
Yes.
And now you're wearing a mask.
Yes.
And the adjustments begin again.
And I think that brings up a good point of like, I think I have found a good footing, but it took years.
Right.
And it took people telling me I was doing the wrong thing by focusing in both and choosing to ignore that and continue to do what I was doing.
I love choosing to ignore people. Because did you have a strong sense? I love both.
I love both. It wasn't a like, this is so easy to ignore. It was a very stressful, like maybe they're right.
Sure. Because you
maybe
care
I
about
should be
what
doing
people
this.
think of you, and these are people you probably
admire and look up to. And it was almost more of a like, I couldn't help myself. Than like a very clear choice. It was like, okay, like let me focus on choreography. And then within a couple of months, I'd be like, oh, but I miss battling. And I would like have to find my way back there. Or let me focus on like being in the battle world and stuff. And then like, oh, but I miss performing on stage. So I would like find my way back there. And so, but it came with a lot of shit. As I think most of us that have found a path
Your
for
own
ourselves
path.
have encountered.
Here's the thing, though. I think you're gonna find shit on somebody else's path too.
Yes.
If you're a sheep and you're just like on the other path, there's shit out there. Other people's shit you're stepping in. You're just,
And it's a less exciting path in the meantime.
a less yours path.
Yes.
And so, yes, when you're navigating your own, you have to deal with disappointing other people or being misunderstood by other people. You have to deal with the unknown. You have to deal with uncertainty and simply not knowing. But here's the wonderful thing about life. Even if you're on the sheep path, the path of all the other people, you still don't actually know where you're going. Nobody knows where we're going. You just think you know where you're going because everyone else is going there too.
And I still don't fit into that path. Like I'm also a queer, like more masculine woman in an industry that like doesn't necessarily celebrate that. So even if I try to fit in with the sheep, I'm gonna stick out. Like,
Yo, can we talk about this? I want to read a post that you shared recently because it sounds like you have really found. Did you just get nervous?
I was like, oh.
It sounds like you have really found in where you don't fit.
Yes.
You have been able to refine and define exactly where you do fit. And I just have to read this out loud because your understanding of self in this post is tremendous. You said, I don't fit in a box. I don't stick to a style. I'm better live than on video. I'm not always clean. I don't have many, quote, battle tactics, and I don't do sets. I wear baggy clothes. I don't like to dance with my hair down, but I'm grateful that at this age in my journey, I can express what I feel. I stay true to me, take it or leave it. I'm a maniac. And it was like, this self-awareness is rich. I love it so much. I love it so, so, so much. Do you think that is something that was hard won? Or have you always had a strong sense of self?
It was hard won, for sure. I think if I'm being really transparent, there was definitely a time in my life where I just wanted to fit in.
Yeah.
I'm not the quirky kid that always was so proud to not be like everyone else, which I love watching that. And I wish that I had been that because I think I would have celebrated myself a lot sooner. Mm-hmm. But I went through a phase of like, my friend Alone even pointed this out the other day. She's like, I watched you go through a phase of like trying to fit in and it just not working. And so you had like, my hand was forced a little bit to like, I was like, okay, I'm either gonna self-implode or I need to start loving myself.
Yo, what did that look like for you? How did loving yourself manifest in action?
A big part of it was being more specific with who I surrounded myself with and surrounding myself with people that made me feel loved and appreciated and seen. Mm-hmm. And for me, that was also now another world to straddle, but spending more time in the queer and lesbian, specifically lesbian community. Mm-hmm. And then I think also just like age.
Yeah.
You know, there's something magical about women turning 30 and beyond.
Whoa. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
That like we spend so much of our lives being told what we're supposed to do, what we're supposed to look like, what we're supposed to. And I think there's something just like changes. And I've heard many women say this and I've heard them say it before I was in my 30s. I've experienced it once I got to my 30s. Mm-hmm. I'm only 31 and a half. No, I'm not. I'm well into my 30s.
Me too.
But that like something's changed where I just felt more settled in who I was. Mm-hmm. And I didn't need the outside validation in quite the same way.
Less eager to please.
Yes, very less eager to please. Mm-hmm. And then also like the partnership I'm in right now is really healthy and uplifting and I feel very seen and celebrated. And so it's like all these little factors just fell into place. Mm-hmm. But it did kind of start with this decision of like, even if I don't know how it's going to look, I have decided that I need to love myself. And the women that I look up to, I can tell they love themselves.
Ooh, yes. Keeping good examples of people who love themselves in your life is a huge part of it.
Yes. Yeah. And love themselves with kindness, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't, but like with force and strength.
Love yourself with kindness and force and strength. That's the name of this episode. Maybe not. It's kind of long, but that's like, what a lovely thing to aspire to love yourself with kindness, which doesn't mean gentle.
Yes.
Like fierce kindness. Yes. Relentless kindness. Yes. Radical kindness.
Yes.
Yeah. And that shows up in the way that you train, I imagine. That shows up in your self-talk. That shows up in probably, probably even the way that you treat other people. You know,
I have become a better person to other people for sure.
Now that you're fully loving on yourself. Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Can we not so gently segue
Absolutely.
back to Hip Hop Nutcracker?
Yeah.
That's the show you're working on right now.
Yeah.
So you followed your interests into the choreography world, which, by the way, we've only got to gig together, like officially gig together, small handful of times, too. Nickelodeon,
2 or 3
SpongeBob. Yeah. Yeah.
Duped.
Duped. But we did get paid.
We
so
did.
That's not the worst.
And we got to hang out.
I think they took out half my hair on that gig with teasing it and spraying it and dyeing it. And did they dye my skin also?
Yes.
Why do I feel like my whole body was blue?
No, we were all weirdly painted.
We'll have some photos. Follow us on Words That Move Me, and we'll do some sharing throughout the week because that was such a fun one.
Both jobs that we've done
What
have
was the other
been.
one?
The other one was the JT and SZA one where they put us in the sparkly suits.
Oh, those photos?
You could not tell it was Dana. You really couldn't. That wig, like you were the only one in a wig.
I was in a full. It wasn't a wig. It was tracks. That shit was embedded.
And then the captain's hat.
A captain's hat, disco ball lips, acrylic nails, full set acrylic nails. And do you remember what happened right after that gig?
No.
COVID.
Yes. That was my last gig before.
Before
COVID.
shit shut down.
Yeah.
And so acrylic nails fully grew out. I had to learn. I've never had acrylic nails in my life. I had to figure out how to get rid of acrylic nails during the pandemic.
They put me in cornrows.
Oh, I remember.
And I did not want to be forever on video as the white girl in cornrows. So I pinned my hood up. My hood's up in that entire thing.
I did not recall. Oh, that's a sneaky,
I quietly did it.
That's a sneaky
I quietly
trick,
did it.
Randy.
But I was like, you're not going to catch me, which also was I'm glad that I made that choice.
That's a powerful choice.
Yeah.
Can you imagine yourself having that conversation on set?
So this is what was
Because
interesting.
I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't want to have that. I mean, that's a hard
I didn't want
conversation.
to have that conversation. I also didn't want to, because the person that asked what I was. She was like, "You're Latina, right?" And I was like, "No, well." This gets into a lot of semantics, but I was like, I'm Portuguese.
Uh-huh.
She said, oh, it's the same thing. And then told the hairdresser to put me in cornrows. And so I didn't feel empowered in that moment to tell them that I wouldn't do that. And, you know, we always get labeled as troublesome dancers anyways. So I just immediately started thinking of ways that I could
have
make
both.
this work.
Yes,
and
hair department can
was-
have me in braids, and I can have my dignity and
I'm
identity.
going to go to wardrobe and be like, I think it'd be really cute if we just pinned this. There's this hood on this. We should utilize the hood.
Did I have a hood on mine?
I think we all had hoods. But I think I also got away
Mine was
with
covered
it.
by my hair.
Yes, you couldn't see anything else on you except that hair. And I think I got away with it by saying that because I was breaking, if I was doing tricks, the hood would fly around. So it'd better if it was just tacked to my head.
Sneaky, sneaky son of a gun. You've found ways.
Like to say that I know ways of speaking in these situations to make something sound like it's someone else's great idea instead of telling somebody what to do or like, you know what I mean? Or like, it's not my wardrobe. So how do I kind of like make it sound like we're working together and like, oh, that would be great if.
Do you think that that's a female quality?
Yes.
Yeah,
100%.
I do too. But I didn't want to say it, but I did want to say it.
Yeah.
And so I did.
Yeah. I think people call us manipulative without realizing why we have to be manipulative as women. We just have to be
gymnastics
smart.
that we have to do to not be too powerful or too opinionated or too thoughtful on a project. Yeah. I would like to become a person though. I'm seeing like the way of working it, right? Which is the gymnastics that you did, which is a great segue to Olympics, which we're going to talk about in a second. The gymnastics that you did to please both parties, right? This person got their dancer in braids and you had, you know, coverage for what you were going through. And I think you found a way to do that. What I would love to have all dancers work towards is to dismantle the idea that we're problem makers and replacing it with the idea of we're people who have professional and uncomfortable conversations. But holy hell, in the moment, in the moment when the clock is ticking and you've got different people talking to different people, and
and I think
it doesn't always feel great to insert your beliefs, boundaries, requests.
And I think even now I'm learning how to word things so that they come off as collaborative and professional instead of like, no, I won't do this, or no, I won't. And I think that's when people start to feel like we're being difficult. But I do think there's like times where I've like needed something wardrobe wise to do what you've asked me to do as an artist and a job, or hair wise, or
it's the most important. For me, the most important department for dancers to be tight with, and respectful towards. We must work symbiotically. Dance and wardrobe. It's so important.
And I think there's also like just things around the dance culture versus the wardrobe culture. But we're playful human beings.
Yeah.
We like to joke. We like to laugh. We like to like, so we almost always will make fun of, we'll always talk shit, but we talk shit about each other. We talk shit about, it's just like how we communicate. And I think that gets misconstrued as like the dancers are complaining about wardrobe again, rather than like, we're just having fun and talking shit.
Oh,
and
interesting.
Like, and so that's
like, culturally, our banter is call out culture and like, make fun, play fun.
Yes.
And maybe fashion culture is a little bit more tight-lipped, a little bit less say what you think.
And this is just like new
I could
observations
be totally wrong,
I've made,
by the way.
But we're just kind of like, but
as you're talking about this, though, I'm remembering one of my favorite tools for boundaries and this conversation that can be so hard. I'm loving these 4 words in tandem: yes and no but. No, I'm not comfortable with my hair in cornrows, but I have this one look that I really love. It's twists. It might give you the same edgy feel without the cultural appropriation.
Yes.
Yes and no but seem to help me with like this kind of Mad Lib structure of uncomfortable conversation. I know the yes and goes here. I know that this goes there, but help me. It helps me fill in the blanks of uncomfortable conversations on set. So yeah, I'll think of you next time something like that happens with me, and I'll send you a little note.
Yeah.
Be like, dodged the bullet.
Yes.
Or I took the bullet.
Yes. I will do the same.
Okay, good.
Fun additional fact, and then we can
please.
segue to gymnastics.
Yes.
I then had to go straight from set the day we did the half day to meet my nephew at Disneyland with
with the look. Yeah.
Look. So I had to, in like 90-degree weather, wear a hoodie the whole day with
you
it
were
tied
cornrowed so
closed because
tight.
I didn't want to be that person. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is tremendous. That was only a half day shoot day. Did we have 2 shoot days?
We had 2 shoot days. And one day I had done my freestyle the first day. So when they kept the other 3 to do their freestyle, I was released or something.
I think I was too. I'll tell you what, I was damn near released from that whole video. I am in maybe 4 seconds of it.
Of all the things, they had me do that whole shoot through the plexiglass, which looked really cool.
Tight. That was awesome. They shot from underneath like an acrylic sheet, so we could see. It looked like you were breaking on
floaty stuff. Yeah. And the one shot they used was this like tiny little shoulder spin moment. That was
amazing.
We love waiting to see what comes out in the edit.
We do. And I'll tell you what, sometimes it is a surprise. You never know what you're going to get. But I love that we don't have to edit our work.
Yes.
Because Riley over here, we edit the podcast. There's tremendous freedom in that. But if we had to have final say and be in the editing room and be doing all the things, we would never get to do the dance part.
Yeah.
Because that takes so long. So we're great. We love editors.
And also it's still about the artist.
For sure.
You know, we love to watch for where we made it in, but like the thing is still about the artist.
Oh, this should be a thing. Maybe in the future where dance is king. Dance right now, by the way, is like, we're like part of the royal guard, but I would say dance still maybe kind of like court jester level. But when dance is king, actually the overlaps there it's actually, we should pause for a second to talk about that. Court jesters in the medieval times were responsible for, obviously, entertaining, but they were also the only people permitted to clown on the royalty. They were the only people allowed to make fun of the king and not like be beheaded or something. So we're truth truth tellers.
Yes, yes.
And we are playful.
Yes.
And we are jokesters.
Yes.
And we are entertaining.
Yes.
But anyway, someday when Dance is King, instead of having director's edits, we'll have dancers edits.
Yes.
Where it's like heavy dance version.
Yes. Which would be so cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you this idea that I have? Are you familiar with Drunk History?
Yes.
On YouTube? I want to do drunk music video remakes.
Can
Imagine.
I please be a part of this? I'm really good at drinking and dancing.
Booked. You're booked. Is that on your special skills?
It should be.
Well, the concept, don't get mad, but the concept would be to have the original cast of, let's say, Britney Spears' Slave for You. Have them get shitty and just see, okay, like hit play and see how that goes.
I also would love to offer,
Yes.
you know, maybe another version of the episode where we just get drunk and talk about old
That's safer.
videos.
That's safer in some ways and more dangerous in other ways. The
really
speaking part,
dangerous.
really dangerous. But I do think that, yeah,
think
it's
that would
super
be epic,
risky.
yeah.
I mean, it would be epic. I do love.
It would end up looking like a night at WeHo, but it'll be amazing.
I've been told that I would do good reaction videos,
Yes.
like YouTube reaction videos.
Yes.
I might start incorporating that into the
Yes.
podcast because I have a face that does not
Yes,
lie.
yes.
And I have a very
Yes,
expressive
which is why
face.
I love working with you and why
Which is why
in
sometimes we
certain
need to be
environments
separated.
I just look over and then I have to look away because we'll get in trouble.
This helps me and it hurts me actually,
Yeah.
because communication is important, verbal and nonverbal. But sometimes my face can betray me.
Mm-hmm.
I've talked about this on the podcast before. Physical affirmation, like very visual, like big head nods and stuff like that. Like I do that all the time on set. If I hear a note, I just want you to know that yes, I agree. I'm receiving your note. But what that can mean sometimes is if a note comes and I don't give my big verbal, it's like, what's the stick up your ass? What's the matter?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I've kind of gotten myself
Yeah.
to a place. I'm trying to undo some of my big, loud
Yes.
affirmation
Yes.
stuff.
My girlfriend loves to let me know how obvious my like or dislike of things is, and I am also working on that
Kind of tampering
and,
that.
Yeah, and not to like hide anything, but sometimes that's not the moment.
You don't need,
Professionalism.
period. Yeah, you want to be in control of
Yes,
it.
yes,
Versus it
yes.
being in something that you're not aware of.
Yes.
Okay, Riz is resettled back in.
Yes.
I'm resettled back in. We're back on track. And we're back one more time to talking about Hip Hop Nutcracker. How did you find yourself in the role? You are choreographing the show, right?
I'm associate choreographer.
Fantastic. And how did you find yourself there? Because you were in the show years past.
I did a job with Jennifer Weber, who is the head choreographer director of Hip Hop Nutcracker. And through that job, met her, worked with her. And then that same year, she brought the casting from New York to LA. So myself, She Street, Urellis, Lily Freitas, like Twitch, all these like incredible dancers ended up being on that cast that year. And she asked me to assist her in choreography. So I started as the assistant. Yeah. Started as the assistant the first year. And then moved to associate, I think 2 years later. And that was a year where, because Jennifer was on another job, I actually ran the rehearsal. So that was my first time like being in that role of being the head of a rehearsal
Leading a
of
room.
that large, leading a room, getting people ready to go on tour and on stage. And like, it was a huge learning curve that I'm incredibly grateful for. I'm also shout out to the original casts that were working with me when I was like figuring all of this out, and how incredible and helpful and like understanding they were in that process. And how forgiving they were in that process.
Listen, a lot of first times in there.
And so
And that was those, how many years?
that was 2 years in, but I've now worked on the project for 8 seasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is your gig. You
This
understand
is,
it in and out.
And this year I'm not going on tour. I'm just
Putting the show up.
waving
them off.
Yeah. And
How does that feel?
It feels incredible, and I'm learning a lot. Now in the tech room, I won't be on stage anymore. I'll be learning how to do lighting cues and like all of that stuff.
Nice.
So it's very interesting to look back on the journey and the arc of all of that and
Yeah.
like find myself here now.
I would love to see the show. I haven't
The show-
ever. I have always wanted to, and I
The
never
show
have.
is incredible. Every year the cast is like these amazing freestyle dancers. I love that we've kept it in that world, true to that world. Where a lot of times with theater shows, you end up like, you know, somebody that can catch choreo really well and can do some tricks and whatnot. And every person that's been in it has left a footprint on that show.
Cool.
For sure. Whether it's a character choice or a little moment that got added in, or like, there's just so many incredible minds that have gone into creating it and it being where it is now.
Yeah. I can't wait to see it. Can't wait to share it. We will definitely link to tickets in the show notes of this episode. So thank you for sharing. I'm so curious. Okay, gymnastics. Let's segue. And by gymnastics, I mean Olympics. We talked about gymnastics earlier. Now we're talking about the Olympics. Okay, I pretend I know nothing other than the fact that breaking will be represented in the Olympics, ? You will be on the team, ? What has transpired?
Yes. So this has been an FFT.
Okay.
A first fucking time.
Well, for everyone.
For everyone involved. For everyone involved. And like everyone is genuinely, for the most part, doing their best, right? To like pivot
to
this
facilitate,
thing
to like get it integrated in a way that is actually appropriate,
genuine and appropriate.
Yeah,
and like,
for the craft.
Yeah. And I think like.
Do I say sport for the sport?
I still don't say sport.
That's a big,
some people
that's
do
part of the conversation,
say sport.
Right?
It is a big part of the conversation. And like, I think because we like to live in a binary world, right? It's like sport or art, but like this is genuinely something that lives in both worlds.
Yeah.
But I do think there are breakers that have always been more sport oriented in the like, it's about the competition. It's about the like, you know, being in peak physical form. And there's breakers that have always been in the art where it's about the party and the fun and the battle is a part of that. But it's about a greater picture than just the competition. And that's always been a split. And that will continue. Like there's, you know, worry that the Olympics will change this thing and things will shift 100%.
Like
but
culturally?
But this other scene will always exist.
100%.
Regardless of what happens over there.
Yeah.
But I do think we have to really talk about and acknowledge that this is not a sport in the sense of like, this is a game that's been moved, but this is a culture and this is a Black culture. And we're now moving this into a world where we have to make sure that that is represented and that is spoken about and that we have people that know that culture are that culture at the forefront of it.
And forefront in multiple places on the judging front.
On the judging front, on the competitors, but
teams.
on the organizers front, on the like producing front, on all fronts really. And like that's where it gets dangerous if you're just looking at the best breakers. Some of them 100% know all this stuff. And I think everyone knows it, right? But you know, what are they going to be speaking about when they get that spotlight? And so this is what we kind of like wait and see, right? But it's been in the making. There's been multiple versions of like trying to make a team. The latest was that you had to place top 4 in nationals. So it all came down to one competition this year.
Okay.
And I placed 5th. So I missed the team by one slot. Yeah.
Tell me how you feel about that.
I mean, I still feel, you know, proud that I'm ranked 5th in the U.S. in B-Girls. That still feels very good. And I, again, recognize I'm somebody that's straddling worlds, where a lot of other people involved in this are not straddling worlds, which is like good and bad, right? I get to like, I'm already working as a dancer, which is what a lot of them are trying to do as breakers. But then it also means I have less time to
be practicing, be committed, being
exactly. Be well rested going
sleeping,
into
breathing.
These things. Yeah.
This.
So I knew I wanted to jump in and really give it my all, but that also meant that I stopped working for a period of time leading into it. And there's no money coming into it for the
for the trial
community at large.
period.
Yeah, it's like some people are
yeah.
starting to get sponsored here and there and stuff.
Right, sponsorships, but
like,
that's not, you're not actually getting paid to participate in the
not
games.
at all.
Nobody is.
You're spending your money to fly to the qualifiers, to
You have
get
to put
hotel
yourself up.
rooms, to all of this. And like even the international ones now that the team is going to, there's some stipends, there's a lot of out-of-pocket money coming, there's like a mix
Dang.
of things happening. So
That sounds less
and
cool
only
than I
one
thought.
person goes from each like one B-girl, one B-boy goes to the Olympics.
How do you feel about that, speaking of binaries and
The B-boy and the B-girl
Yeah.
thing? That's like this
What's up with
wider
that?
conversation that's like, I mean, in sports in general, right? That's becoming a very
Yes,
big
correct.
conversation.
Broad,
As far as that,
how do you personally
it's
feel
also
about it?
weird because the break, like I would say the big separation of B-boy, B-girl happened more around like 2017, 2018 when Red Bull had a cipher for B-girls, which I do think was a positive thing because it gave people, it gave more female breakers or female identifying breakers a platform.
Yeah.
Right. So you saw more. We can see these younger B girls are insane. And I know in part that's because they had something to look to, look forward to. They had a lot of examples of women, well, a lot, quote unquote, but much more than we had relative. Prior to that, I think only one B girl had ever made the main stage for Red Bull.
Wow.
So, but then it became like everything separated out.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I'm still on the fence of whether that's good or bad because now it's a different pool that we're comparing ourselves to. It's like maybe a smaller pool that is setting the bar. Whereas like B-girls like Beta, who used to battle dudes all the time, was like burning the shit out of people.
Nice.
So, and not that girls aren't doing that now. It's just like, it's different. But then the binary I know is hurtful for some people that don't
It can be exclusive.
particularly identify with either. There is the balance of like, how do we make something more inclusive, but honor its history and past and
Because
not come
B-boy
in as
is
Right.
is what we call
right
it.
and not come in as someone newer or even like a guest to the culture and demand change.
Right.
So it's about having the conversations. I was a part of the first ever Pride panel at Red Bull BC1, which was like a huge step. So, and like it didn't get put online because nobody knew what the response and blowback would be. It was very much an in the room moment. But it's the conversation,
where
having the
conversations
conversations
start
and
is-
including older generations. Like B-Boy Wicket was there and Beta was there, and like including older generations in the conversation, because there is some like, and I feel it too as like a quote unquote, I don't know, kind of middle school queer right now, right? That there's this like kind of entitled, I don't know if entitled is the right word, but there's this like, we're right and you guys have been doing it wrong for forever.
And it has to change
It has to be
now.
this, and you have to get on board with this change immediately, even though you've had to navigate your life without these words being available to you, without these like terminologies, definitions, new, like this is, some of this pronoun stuff is very new for us too, even as a person that has felt like I don't fit the binary, right? So to have somebody force me to like give that in that moment when I'm like, I'm like taking out all these things that I've been confused or navigating or stuff my whole life and trying to redefine. So like, give me a second.
Yes,
It's
give me
great
a second.
It's great that you got to walk into already having all these terms, but like,
And feel so empowered as to
Yes.
try to change the world.
yes,
I love that
I
energy.
love that. And
I
we
love that
need that
energy.
from
Keep going.
youth. And we probably did that in our own way when we were
100%.
younger, but also the grace of like you get to have that because we did what we did, and we get to have this because the generation before us did what they did. And so like a little more, I think a little more grace and compassion and
Some patience.
bridging and
Patience
patience.
wouldn't hurt.
Yeah.
Thank you for pointing that out. And I do agree that there's a lot to be applauded in this in this generation.
And there's some
in this
things
upcoming
that-
generation. And there are also some things where you just say like, maybe have a seat.
Yeah.
Just maybe have a seat for a second.
And there are things where like, yes, we don't need patience anymore, right? There's certain like we don't need patience for like,
And of course,
violence and like those kind of things, right? But
that's
it's
how
a
passionate
nuanced
they are
conversation.
about this thing.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah,
I very much get it.
yeah. I think dance doesn't always realize the industry dance world or even like the underground community or stuff. I don't think we always realize the ways in which we still mirror the greater society. And as artists, I think we think we live outside of it. And I think it infiltrates into our communities as well. And like we have to acknowledge the parts where we're like mirroring maybe something unhealthy. But
Oh yeah, we are in so many ways in a bubble, and in so many ways exactly the same as everyone else all over the place.
Yes, yeah,
A mirror of everything else.
So yeah, it's interesting, and it's interesting. Like, I think queer experience gets lumped into one pile, and everyone's is very different and very nuanced. Like mine is very much the queer experience of a like more masculine lesbian, right? That's going to be different than like queer man, trans woman, trans man, non-binary person. Like all of these things are,
Very different.
Yeah.
Identities in general,
Yes.
all very different.
Yes.
So it's good to hear that there are conversations being had, and that there are activists who really care deeply about making change. And I think there simply must be a balance of maintaining and changing.
Yes. Yes.
What stays the same, and what must stay and what must change.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
I guess, what is at the core of those conversations.
Totally.
I'm glad you're in the room for that, and I'm glad your voice is being heard.
We're trying.
Okay.
And then adding, just to bring awareness to the intersectionality of race and all these other things into that too. And like how much like has white feminism or white queerness like had the lead voice, and like where do we make space so that we're following the lead of people of color. And yeah.
Stay tuned for the answer to that question.
Yeah.
Thank you for being so thoughtful and bringing that to the forefront. It's essential conversation.
Yeah. I don't have the answers, but it's
okay. You might have the answer to this question though. Will we see breaking in the Olympics in LA?
We will not. We will see it in Paris in 2024. We will not see it in LA in 2028.
And can you explain why?
LA, the Olympic committee that decides whose sports are making it, voted to not have it. So essentially, in order for breaking to be safe and tenured into the Olympics,
with no questions asked, in order for it to become a
pivotal sport or whatever, like shoo-in.
Yeah.
It needs to be in 3 consecutive Olympics.
Games. Okay. And so Paris is one.
Paris is one. I've heard that 2032 is a sure-in. However, that may change, but we do think it'll be in 32. It will not be in 28.
So does the clock go back to
clock goes
zero?
Goes back to 0.
Dang. Well, I was very much looking forward to it. I will be watching Paris closely.
Yes.
And
it's a shame they didn't wait to see how well it did
at
Paris before making that decision, but it is a money game.
Yeah, a little bit.
And so if they don't, there's still like, we could go down the rabbit hole of all the things, but there's still an idea that this is not a valuable art form. And I think that gets even into our dance world. And like, I do think that like,
I have so much reverence for B-boys and B-girls because I can't, that I just think it's like unfucking touchable. I think I think you guys are the elite.
Untouchable means that you don't know what to do with it. Means that it never gets opportunities. So
that is terribly,
unfortunate. I feel like I get told all the time that I'm people's favorite dancer, and yet never hired
because people don't know how to handle you,
use it, or and I. When dance is already on the lowest rung, I feel like people love freestyle. But to love something and to value it is 2 different things.
How would you like to be valued? Like, what's your dreamscape as far as the ecosystem for freestylers in commercial dance?
I think part of it is we have some incredible directors of movement, choreographers that live inside the freestyle world that would know how to utilize that sort of storytelling.
Speak your language.
And that speak your language. She Street, Freedom.
Yeah.
I work towards that when I work with people of like trying to bring together different styles of dance and know how to highlight each thing. And
without 8 hours of rehearsal and 5 yen, a 6 yen, a 7 and a 8.
Right. And even when choreography is involved, right? Like I feel like oftentimes it gets dropped to the lowest common denominator instead of individualized with who's in the room and highlighted and things.
You mean the choreography itself gets like watered down?
Yeah, so that like maybe everyone can do it, or so that like
versus having choreography that suits this person's exact strengths.
Exactly.
Yeah, that is truly the job of a great choreographer.
Yes.
And I think sometimes we're not all great all the time.
Yeah. And it's just like it feels like we get brought in to do something that we have spent our life, a majority of our life, tons of hours perfecting in our own quote unquote rehearsals, if we want to use that kind of speech. But they don't have us at rehearsals because we're providing our own thing, so we don't get that payment. We get just the plug and play dancer pay on the day of, rather than being like, you have sought me out for this specific
my lifetime
artistry
of
that I am providing, and then it gets credited under the choreographer's name.
Right, and it's like that person made it up, told you to do that thing. I can 100% see how that's problematic. And I can 100% tell you how excited I am to have your voice in the room for Choreographers Guild conversations.
Yes.
And
I'm like, I think the important thing now is to lay the overall foundation. So I'm trying not to like come in punching with that too early, but it is something to be angry. That like,
I mean, it's okay to really be charged up for change by anger or by wrongdoings and by all the ways things have gone wrong for you.
For example,
that's how we fix it.
There was a moment where a major artist was hiring for a music video and started putting out casting calls on battle pages for freestylers and wanted to only pay them $200 for the 12-hour day, knowing that they're going into communities where like maybe people don't understand what a rate should be. Maybe they're excited. This is the thing that drives me crazy. I don't care if I'm excited for the opportunity. I don't care if it's the first time of me getting a great opportunity. I don't care if I love to freestyle anyways. I don't care if you hire me for something, pay me my worth to add to your project. So then I got hit up through my agency for this same thing, and they were only offering $300 now, right? And I was like, no, I will do it. At the time, the rate was $500. I'll do it for $500.
Dancers Alliance rate was $5
for a music video. Which is So they come back to my agent with $450, and I'm like, if you could come up now, you're just trying to like let me know you have the power by undercutting me by $50. So everyone on the thing said yes. And I replied all and said, actually, no, the rate still is $500.
Hard no for me.
I think it'll probably be doable for them to come up the other 50. Then everyone came back around and said like, yes, I'm with that, right? At the same time, Dancers Alliance heard about the casting and was going to the casting saying don't do this. Yeah. So it was like team effort.
On all fronts.
Right?
Yeah.
So
and what happened?
I'm pretty sure I got blacklisted from that production. However, they ended up hiring freestylers for $550 for that video. And for me, that's a win. I lost the job, but overall that goes up, and that affects me overall too. And I think that's how we have to like think about it. And I know not everyone is in the same position for financially, and I 100% recognize that. I also know that people on O1 visas can't get side jobs. So, there's a million factors, but like when we can, if we can stay together, it means that instead of just like getting by tomorrow, we could actually set ourselves up with like a career where we can live the life that we deserve to live for how hard we've worked.
And a legacy for our community, for future generations of people who want to be able to do this for a living.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the final segment?
Yeah.
I have a new segment on the show. It's not new anymore because this is the fourth, fifth, sixth time we've done it, but whatever. It's new to you.
Yeah, it is.
We're calling it Wrist Roll With It, which is a rapid fire question segment.
Amazing.
Unfortunately, I'm freestyling this episode today, and I'm not as good a freestyler as you are. So I don't have my notes. But you know, I love freestyling with you. We've jammed a couple times. Dancing with you is fun. It's going to happen.
It's going to happen.
Rapid fire, quick, ready, set, go. Favorite move?
Oh, windmills. I don't know. That's not true, but that's
so
what
cool
first
that you
came
can
out.
That's an option for you. Oof. Favorite song to dance to?
Whitney Houston, Want to Dance with Somebody.
So funny you said that because I just did a birthday freestyle for my friend Pam to that song.
It's so
via
fun.
Zoom.
And I kind of just paddle turn the whole time, but it's my favorite.
Skibby dibby woo. There's
Yes.
such good music in
Yeah.
there. Her ad libs go off. It's a crazy good song. Great answer. Kind of similar but different. If you could only listen to one song for the rest of time, what would it be? I know, ouch. It's a terrible punishment, but
Be Your Girl or Your Girl, the Kaytranada.
nice.
remix.
Okay.
It builds in such a nice way. I feel like I wouldn't get tired of it. It's not the same thing.
It's
There's an
dynamic.
arc.
It's
Yeah,
dynamic. Yeah. You get to dance with anyone, living or dead. Who is it?
Frosty Freeze.
Good answer. Something you would like to tell your young self.
All your strengths lie in the things you're hiding right now.
Something you would like to tell your future self.
You fucking did it, bitch.
And with that,
I don't know if we can swear. I'm
we
sorry.
definitely can. With that, our final question. You ready for this one? What are the words that move you the most?
The first that comes to mind, because it's been on my mind all day, is what you actually told me during our coaching of like, really imagine your future self and then just be it
Today.
today.
Yeah, there's actually
There's no
nothing-
reason
yeah.
that you can't be your future self today.
You can walk more like her. You
Yes.
can talk more like her.
Can take
You
a bath and put your bathrobe
take
on,
a
which
bath
was
and put your bathrobe
what
on like
I wanted
her.
to do. Yeah.
Yes, we did a future self meditation. It's one of the things I
Yeah.
do with some of my coaching clients, where you imagine your future self, how she wakes up, how she has breakfast, how she goes to work, how she walks, how she dresses, how she talks. And yeah, your future self had a robe, and there was like, and baths, and there's literally no reason why today you can't have a robe and a bath. Let's just go ahead and be more future self today.
Totally.
I love that. I thought you were going to say, reminded you of something that we've already talked about today, which is flow. Because
Also, bring more tampons. That's
Bring
another
more
rule to
tampons.
live by. Yeah.
37 years old and I still can't figure it out. Like, I never have enough, or I've got too many. They're falling out all over the place.
Or I'm like rushing to like make sure.
Can't organize my clock.
Yeah,
Can't
yeah,
organize
yeah.
my time.
Yeah. And it's the same every month. Every month of our lives, we've been doing this since like what, like
37
13
now.
or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And have not figured it out.
Not figured it out.
Yeah, which is why I was late today.
But we are capable people who can do ridiculous things. We are very capable. What? Okay, can you make me this promise right
Yes.
now? Next month, November. Well, you're on November already. Okay, so we're on different calendars, but you will be getting a text from me some random week in some random month where I'm like, Randy, I did it. I didn't ruin any underwear or pants. I didn't like not have it. I didn't ever have to ask anyone for one. I'm just going to be on it. My future self is on it.
Speaking of future self,
90,
yeah,
95% of
are,
the time. Sometimes she's off, but it's something that it's surrounded by a little bit of negative self-talk for me, where I say, like, you should have figured this out by now. Just exactly what we were just doing. You've done this literally since you were 13. How come you don't have it together? And I don't have a good enough answer to that question, apparently, because I keep asking myself that question.
I think I also just want to like ignore how annoying and how much pre-thought goes into every day that you have your period.
Do you know what I want to ignore?
What?
I don't want to ignore it. I want to rewrite the resentment that I have towards men for not having to fucking deal with that.
Yes.
While my real estate is on where am I going to find a new pair of underwear right now? Theirs is on like, I should ask for a raise.
Yes.
You know what
yes.
I mean? Like,
yes.
I'm not there
yes.
yet. Give me time.
Yes. Yes. yes.
This
No,
is-
no, that's fair. That's fair.
Just
And I do think they should have to hear us talk about it more. Like, I feel like we try not to talk around it around men to not.
I'm gonna time code this part of this episode and send it to all the men in my
all the
life.
men. We were talking about this. I recently was on a flight where they had checked my luggage under the plane that had all my tampons, because I knew at some point on this job I was going to start. It started on the flight, and I was only on the job with men. And I should have just, as we got off, been like, y'all, I need to like book it to this thing because I need to get my tampons because I'm bleeding through my pants right now. And I instead was like, I'm just gonna.
Oh, excuse me, I have to run to the store. I'll meet you guys down in baggage.
I'm not spending a lot of time in the bathroom doing anything gross, like
lining my underwear with toilet paper. We've all done it. I'm
like
just
asking strangers for tampons.
I always will.
Yeah.
Maybe not. Future self doesn't. Future self is prepared. Or maybe future self has created some sort of solution for that.
Or future self has so many tampons, I'm always ready to give strangers and need some.
Future self
it's a little tampon machine.
Is like a tampon trick or treat. Like, who? Come on, get it. Well, didn't see us closing out on that note, but Randi, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
Serious shit, for talking silly shit. I respect and appreciate the shit out of you. Thank you for being here.
I respect and appreciate the shit out of you, and I am honored to be here.
All right. Thank you again for coming. Thank you all for listening and watching. If you're digging what you see and hear, please subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and leave a comment or review or rating, because it really helps other people find the podcast. Okay, get out into the world. Keep it funky. I'll talk to you later. This podcast was produced by me with the help of many. Big love to our executive assistant and editor, Riley Higgins. Our communications manager is Ori Valladares. Our music is by Max Winnie. Logo and brand design by Bree Reitz. Thumbnails and marketing by Fiona Small. You can make your tax-deductible donations to Words That Move Me, thanks to our fiscal sponsor, the Dance Resource Center. And also, many thanks to you. I'm so glad you're here, and if you're digging the pod, please share it. Leave a review and rating. And if you want to coach with me and the many marvelous members of the Words That Move Me community, visit wordsthatmoveme.com. If you're simply curious to know more about me and the work I do outside of this podcast, visit thedanawilson.com.